Let's shift gears now and talk about next week and somewhat breaking news here, I guess you could say. Again, we're all thinking it, but Adam Schefter tweeted it out. And listen, the reason I'm highlighting this tweet is because there's a reason Schefter tweeted this out. And it was Zach Cruz that reposted it. It popped up on my timeline. So shout out to him. So if Adam Schefter tweeted this out, and notice how it's worded, with Green Bay locked into the NFC's number 7 seed, they are expected to rest key players next week. Where did that come from? That did not come from an agent. That did not come from a player. That had to come from someone within the building, right? So Adam Schefter tweeting that out tells me someone within the building told him, hey, we're just going to sit everybody down. We're going to use it as an extra bye week. This can be somewhat of a blessing, right? That you essentially get a bye week next week to get everybody rested up and good to go. And another thing that it does too is you don't spend a whole lot of time on your game plan with Minnesota. You keep it, it's almost like a preseason game. You keep it very vanilla, and you've got 2 weeks, really a week and a half, if you will, to prepare for the potential matchups in the first round of the playoffs. So what you'll start to do as a coaching staff, and again, that's what we try to do, is give a little insight on this particular program on how the Packers front office and coaching staff kind of looks at things, roster moves, roster projection, modeling the roster out 2 and 3 years in advance. Same thing with game planning for the coaches. They're looking at probably their top 2 opponents that they're most likely going to be facing, and they'll go ahead and start to formulate 2 game plans around playing those 2 teams, right? And then as you get a little closer and that locks in, all right, throw that other game plan out the window. Let's really key in on this. So you're going to look to find commonalities in between the 2 game plans for the 2 different teams that you might potentially face, so you can really maximize that extra time you got in constructing a game plan to get ready to play that team, if that makes sense. So again, I thought this was interesting that Adam Schefter tweeted that out. That had to come from someone within the building. The decision's been made. We're going to sit the starters and rest are the key players, if you will. There'll still be some starters out there on the field, don't get me wrong, because you can't just play all the backups, or else you're not going to have hell, last night we almost ran out of players. We were one bad snap away the week before with Josh Jacobs playing emergency quarterback, right? So you got to take those things into consideration as well. Again, week 18 is going to mean nothing to this team, okay? I would love to create some momentum. That would be awesome. If you could still beat the Vikings, that'd be great. But the top priority, as I said a couple weeks ago going into Chicago, is, man, don't play players if you're going to risk getting them even further injured, right? In terms of someone who's dealing with an injury that you could potentially make that injury worse, because the playoffs are the number 1 priority, whether you think we have a legit shot to win in the playoffs or not. And if you have that opinion, I can understand that opinion, man. This team is, like I said, man, it's running out of gas. You just got too many injuries that you're dealing with at the moment. Cameron Azir also tweeted this out: game-ending injuries over the last 3 contests. What does that mean? To the best of my knowledge, what he's saying here, and he did ask, am I missing anyone? I don't know if anybody, it's just memes in the chat, of course, or in the comments. But what he's saying is over the last 3 weeks, these are the players that got hurt, exited the game, and could not return, and in some cases couldn't even play moving forward, right? Like in Zach Tom's case, who's at the top of the list. Here are all the injuries, guys. This is just in the last 3 games. Zach Tom with the knee, Christian Watson with the chest/shoulder, Micah Parsons with the ACL, Josh Wiley with the concussion, Jordan Love with the concussion, John Fitzpatrick with the Achilles, Evan Williams with the MCL. We get that confirmed now. Zane Anderson with the ankle, Nate Hobbs with the knee, Jordan Riley with the Achilles, Kamal Hadden with the ankle last night, Dontavion Wicks with the concussion last night. Again, what do you have here? You've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 players who have left the last 3, in the last 3 contests, 12 players who have left the game and could not return. I know this isn't a popular take. I know that people love going on to the post-game shows and the day after shows and hearing the hot takes and people getting overly animated and pissed off, and this team's trash. You need to fire that guy, and you need to run him out of town. And that's not what I'm going to give you here. Guys, if you had told me going into the last 3 weeks, hey, guys, you're going to lose 12 players in those games that can't return to those games, I'm going to go, boys, we probably lost every damn game. That's a lot to overcome, considering you already had everything going in, right? So, again, it's just a tough look. He asked, am I missing anyone? I know the NFL is a physical league, but the Packers can't catch a break. Again, Some people say it's not the year. Other people say, oh, you're making excuses with injuries. Okay, if you're going to stand on that, you're making excuses with the injuries, then what you got to stand on is in the off season. Let's say you go into this to 2027 or 2026 rather, and say, okay, we're going to go into 2026. We're going to cut enough players to go into 2026, and we're going to be 60 million under the cap. Do you think that team's going to compete? It's not going to happen. So if you don't agree with that stance, you can't agree with the injuries don't matter. The injuries matter. They matter tremendously. So again, just a tough break for the Packers team down the stretch. Josh Jacobs kind of gave his opinion on this as well, and it was Cameron Azir that tweeted this out. Make sure you guys go give him a follow. Like I said, retweet this video out as well. Here's what Josh Jacobs had to say after the game. Obviously, a leader in the locker room, and his snap count was very, very interesting. I don't know if you guys noticed, but it was, I think, 13 snaps is what Josh Jacobs had. So again, why did the running game not get going last night? Why were we thrown all over the yard? Kind of feels like this team, this organization made the decision early. All right, let's just start pulling guys out. Once they started to lean on us and run the ball real heavily, and they were successful with it, I think this coaching staff started making decisions, playoff decisions of let's get these guys out of the lineup. That's why you didn't see Josh Jacobs very much at all last night. But here's what Josh Jacobs had to say after the game.
I think that we got to be realistic. I think is when you look in the mirror, you can't really just overstep or bury certain things. I think you got to be overly honest with yourself. Even the plays where you might have had a okay play, it's a lot of things that could have been better. And I think once we collectively, take the responsibility of our individual, actions on that field or even throughout that week, then until we do that and address that and be 100% honest with the man in the mirror, then we'll start getting the results that we want.
Love the accountability there. Love the accountability. Josh Jacobs is such a stand-up dude. I'm glad he's a Green Bay Packer. It's a tough look for this team. It really is. But you could tell the players in the locker room, they're not accepting it as, well, this is just the way it is. It's, hey, no matter who's out there, you got to go play your assignment. You got to go do the best you can. It's what Evan Williams is talking about. It's what Josh Jacobs is talking about there. So again, when you look in terms of what the plan was last night and the plan moving forward, it kind of felt like halfway through that game, they already shifted gears. They being the coaching staff into, all right, let's shut this down, start to pull some people, and anyone who's banged up at all, let's get them out of the game, and let's go ahead and press forward. And again, that might be why Gary's snap count was so low as well. It could be. Again, is he hurt? I don't know. Nobody can confirm that. But I think it's also one of those things. Like, here's the point. The people who are piling on the Rashawn Gary got benched, then you got to say Josh Jacobs got benched too. They're not saying that, are they? Because they know Josh Jacobs is a great football player. Now, those same people like to pretend like Rashawn Gary is a horrible football player. I've seen the screen grab of him getting pancaked where he slipped and fell face down, and the guys, it's funny, they don't show the play. They just show the screenshot of him on his face, right? It's again, Josh Jacobs. Why aren't they showing screenshots of Josh Jacobs with 3 rushing yards, 4 rushing yards, whatever it was? Because again, that's not the popular thing to do. If someone were to do that, they would get raked over the coals on social media, because the popular thing has become to blame Rashawn Gary anytime anything goes wrong for the defense, right? And they tried to do that with LVN last night, but people pushed back a little bit. Again, I think Gary's time in Green Bay is probably done after this year. I'm not saying he's going to be back. I'm not saying he deserves to be back at $28 million cap hit. I feel like his best football is probably behind him, right? But you got to call a spade a spade. If you're going to say Rashawn Gary was benched, then you got to say Josh Jacobs was benched. And the one commonality is it kind of feels like this coaching staff shifted gears into, okay, playoff mode. Let's shut these guys down. It was, hey, let's get JJ Enigbari more snaps. Don't put Rashawn in as much, and so on and so forth. So that's kind of what it feels like to me. But I'd like to know what you guys think. In the chat, let me know if you're watching this video back later. How do you feel about the Adam Schefter news there? That someone within the building told him, hey, look, they're not going to play key players next week, and they're going to kind of look to prepare for the playoffs. Do you think it's the right move? Do you think, no, it's worth it just to play everybody who could possibly play and try to create some momentum going to the playoffs? I think that's a reasonable take too. Let us know in the comments what you think. Make sure you hit like, subscribe, click the bell icon so you know when we go live here on PTA in the future.